family, we are back for season 3. This will be all things holidays, and this episode is going to be amazing. It is exposing the white elephant.
Yes.
You don't know what that means, but I'm gonna give you a little spiel. So I feel like with holidays, we talk about Christmas carols and being with our family and, you know, all the decorations. But for many people, there are a lot of undercurrent issues that many people never address. And at Permission Talk, we have agreed to ensure that this whole conversation is always about freeing other women dealing with things that we might have dealt with ourselves or that we might know another woman is dealing with. And so we're going to talk about and expose just some things that many women are facing in this time. So hopefully this is edifying. Let's jump in, girls. Y'all know I got Janiyah back and Keisha back on the ones and twos.
Happy holidays. All right, so before we jump into exposing the white elephant, we have an icebreaker, of course. Okay,
Yes.
so this is this or that holiday edition, all right? So, PJ, would you rather stay home or travel?
Is that hard for you? I am a homebody. If there could be a definition and a picture, I would be there. I'm definitely one that loves to stay at home in my onesie with my babies.
Yes.
And if I am gone too long, I literally actually have a whole situation that happens. So yes, definitely home.
What is the whole situation?
I start to feel emotionally imbalanced. That's a good way to describe it.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
You kind of know that. Like if we have to schedule the days where I'm gonna get a little break, go back to see the babies, and then I can go out again. So yeah.
What about you?
Stay home or travel? Travel. Because don't get me wrong, I love being at home, but I spend a lot of like the full year at home by myself.
Okay.
So on like holidays, a big holiday, actually that's really a thing for me. On like holidays and stuff, I actually really like to be outside of the house.
Okay.
So that's good.
Okay. Why?
I think growing up, we didn't celebrate holidays big. We would like my mom worked a lot, so she would want to be in the house on holidays, and so I would like see all my friends like, oh, we're going, you know, sledding, or we're going. Nobody ever went sledding
In Alabama? Not in Birmingham.
we're going to do all these things, and it would be like time for us
you.
to rest. So I think now that I'm older, get out of the house for the holidays. Yeah.
Okay.
I am travel.
Okay. For
Especially-
sure.
Yeah, travel for sure, especially around the holidays.
Okay.
Okay. I like making memories. And so, like,
You can't make them in the house?
You can.
Okay.
You can. But I like exploring new places.
You do.
And I have like a whole thing. Like, I like to listen to just one album when I go to travel because it helps lock it in. And so then when you leave the place, you can kind of play it again and
And
it reminds you of it, or if it's like a certain type of food or something. But I definitely travel is my thing.
I love it. Ladies, if you're watching, drop in the comments. Are you staying at home or are you traveling for the holidays?
All right, what about snow or no snow?
I'm not very much so a cold girl, but we did have fun outside with the snow. That was this past year, right? Me and the boys were all in the snow and stuff, so I'll take
This
snow.
has been a long year. I don't even know this part of the year.
Yeah, it was. Where was
It was like right after New Year's, maybe.
Okay.
New Year's.
Yeah, it was fun. So I'll take snow.
Okay.
Yeah, see, none of that was fun for me. It
Oh,
was-
really?
No. Oh, my God. I do not like being cold
I
under
don't
no
either.
circumstances. And even if it's like, oh, my God, this is fun, my mind can't wrap around the fact that, like, I'm not having a good time right now. I'm freezing.
When you said that, it actually made me think about, I actually watched Travis and the boys out there for a long time before I went out there. And I decided I need to go out there for the boys. So, because I have levels of cold, if you ever hear me say, my nose cold, that's a level of discomfort that I'm out of here. Yes.
What about you?
I like the snow. I like the snow. Yeah, I like it. Again, I think it's like, it's the fanfare of it all. You know, I don't even think I like the cold or whatever, but it's just like, I like the memories of just being out there.
Wait, like you get in the snow, you like to like look at it.
No, I'm like playing in the snow. Like I'll touch the snow. You know, like I don't mind the snow. Like holistically, like it's good.
I love that about you.
All right, last one. Thanksgiving or Christmas?
I would say Christmas because we get to stay at home with my boys. Thanksgiving, we always give to one of our families, whether it's Travis' side or with my family. But Christmas, we have really set that we were going to make new memories and different things like that. So we hang stockings now.
Okay.
We open stockings on Christmas Eve. We started to go give for generosity's sake on Christmas Eve as well. So we're building our own family traditions, and I'm really happy and excited to see how the boys will pass that down. So definitely Christmas.
Thanksgiving, 100%. because I'm a foodie, like I love the Thanksgiving meal. That's like my favorite meal of the year. Like I get all excited about it. And it was the holiday that we did spend together. Like my entire family, it doesn't matter where everybody is. We were all coming together for Thanksgiving. So that's my number one. What about you?
I think Christmas. Definitely Christmas. And I'm excited about this upcoming one. Kind of to your point. So we just bought our home.
Yeah.
And so Denar's been talking. He's so excited to decorate. Oh my God. But I think it's going to start us kind of, even if it's just us two, we're going to spend some time, you know, maybe it's just Christmas Eve or something, but really enjoy our home for the holidays.
Love that.
So I'm excited to kind of start that memory with us. But
That's so beautiful. Like, tear.
Yes, I was like, I see that.
Yeah, that's really, really sweet.
Well, y'all ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
So
Let's do it.
this is actually set up Q&A style. So we have some questions that people have sent in that they want to discover more. So first question says, lately I felt a heavy calling to be the one who brings my family back together. An incident happened a couple years back that caused my siblings to stop speaking to each other. I'm the only person who communicates with everyone, and they all have agreed to get together at my house for the holidays. How do I allow the Lord to have his way with this time and not enforce what I think should happen for reconciliation?
I really believe just the heart of bringing everybody together is a first step in that, you know, having people in the same space and giving the opportunity to experience something new is huge. I think sometimes we feel like we have to force things to happen, but even just to taking a step, I feel like the Father is so good at meeting you and allowing what's supposed to transpire. I think many times we feel like we have to hold control and make it all work. We don't have to be Jesus Jr., but we take the step that he asks us to in the process of allowing him to be Jesus. And generally, organically, he's able to make the conversation that's supposed to happen. You end up maybe even creating a new memory. And so maybe if it was they felt like this person was short-tempered, they get to see that person in another light. I think just a new opportunity in and of itself is the godly move. And letting God be in that is enough. So that's what I would say.
And there's so much power in that because I went through a situation with my family where we had some type of fragmented, people were kind of not on the same page. And it was actually my younger cousin, Priscilla, who she just graduated high school. But God had placed in her heart, she really wanted everybody to come together to just like celebrate some, you know, and so she reached out to everyone individually. And that was one of the first times that everyone in my family was came together for a particular holiday or meal. But I'm saying, like, the Lord, he watches over it, especially that thing that he places on your heart. So if you really feel like God has been pricking you, then you can relax in that. And again, this was a graduation. She really didn't even have any motive besides, like, I really felt, you know, this is what God said. This is what, and so just kind of even being free in that as well, of not having feel the pressure of doing it. But if you really feel that pull, then that first step of obedience and talk with everybody, you'll be surprised of like the fruit that can come from it when you lean into that.
And when you shared that, it made me think about something we call mixed fruit. Many times when you don't only obey, meaning God told you to bring everybody together, but you decide you're supposed to bring everybody together, and then y'all supposed to have a counseling session. He didn't say counseling session. He said bring everybody together. You'll get mixed fruit. It might have been beautiful just with the instruction of bringing everybody together, but then it might be World War III because you forced something that he didn't ask for in the middle of it. So that was the only thing that I just really heard. Whether that's bringing people together or just in your everyday life, only obedience is a good principle. If he just said go to a person and tell them you love them, go say you love them. Don't say you love them and this extra thing, because that extra thing could be the thing that throws off everything. And so I think that whole principle of just only doing what he says is trusting him that what he said is enough.
And trust. Go ahead.
I was going to say being okay with just like step one. Because I think a lot of times people like, oh, because it might have been 5 years and this is the moment where everything comes back. Maybe it's just we're in the same room together. And to your point, not and that can be like, it can be a journey, and being okay with that journey, you know.
That's exactly what I was going to say, is trusting God with the outcome. Because I think a lot of times when it's like, it's important to you, but realizing this is also, it's more important to God. Like, he cares more about the reconciliation, bringing his family back together. The outcome is still not on, even though he's deciding to use you to bring everybody together, the outcome is still not on you. You still have to give that back to God and put it back in his hands.
Really good. I love that.
Okay, ladies.
That was really good.
Yes. Okay, so this next question says, I actually am not looking forward to going home for the holidays. So with my family, I often feel like they are so different than I am. And in this new season with the Lord, I often feel alone, even surrounded by people. Any advice?
I heard two things. The first thing I would say in terms of not wanting to go to spaces and having hesitation generally has to do with authenticity. So sometimes we'll feel like because they're going to expect this certain thing from me, then I don't want to go to those spaces. We really love freedom. And sometimes we don't recognize this is the reason why we don't want to go back. But even if that's not the fullness of it, because sometimes it can have something to do with you that has nothing to do with other people.
Yeah.
My second thing would be to dig for the why. Don't just settle in recognizing you don't want to go back or that you feel isolated in the middle of people. Find out why. What is underneath that? Is it that you're dealing with rejection issues, or what is the feeling that you feel that makes you feel that way when you're there? Was another thing that I would add. Digging.
That's good, because I have felt like that. It's something I actively pray against.
Okay.
Because I can be around people, and I don't know if it's because I grew up as the only child, or just sometimes I'm just like not present. I can be around people and not be present.
Okay.
And so I've asked the Lord to just make me more aware of the moment, so that I don't just kind of go through, these things. I'm being at home with my family and not really taking in the magnitude of it, of the opportunity I get to see them, especially because I don't get to see them often. But that was something that I too dealt with, not even because of, me not wanting to put on, but just not being present in those moments and being distracted in my thoughts that I've offered up to the Lord.
And I love that you did the self-reflection to find out that it didn't have anything to do with them, but more so something with you that the Father can help you with. Because many times we automatically assume it's someone else. It's always outside of you. And many times, if you start digging, it has some internal root.
This question hits really home for me, because
Okay.
I left home when I was 18. I graduated high school when I was 18, and I spent, at this point, I'm 26 now, that's 8 years that I have not lived in my hometown.
Okay.
And the first couple of years, I would struggle with this, because it's like, I'm creating a new life for myself that I enjoy. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean that I did not enjoy the life that I had as a child, before I was 18. But I'm like, I'm creating these moments. I'm creating this life for myself. And one thing PT said a little while ago that kind of like stuck with me, he was like, when I go into rooms, I'm not trying to fit to the room. I make the room fit for me. Like I'm who I am, and so when I go into these spaces, I'm not trying to convince y'all to do anything. Like I'm just showing up as Janiyah. Like I'm just showing up, and whoever I think that's the biggest thing for me is I've created this life outside of them, and so it's like I've blossomed and become this thing, and it's just like they don't know this person. So instead of me just trying to get around them and put on what I think that they want or go back, it's like, just introduce them to who you are and be comfortable in that space. Don't try to, put on airs and stuff. Like, it ain't even, like, they just want Janiyah. And I think just coming to the fact that, like, my family they're my family. Like, I was thinking, even as you were talking, like, we can choose our friends, we can choose our circles, but God gave us our family on purpose. And so just finding a way to not exclude them from this, new life or whatever, but bringing them into it and not trying to create anything outside of them is what my heart was saying.
And you'd be surprised. There have been moments, like I remember when I started speaking more, one of my aunts, she said to me, she was like, they call me, my name's Jackie, they call me Jackie. She was like, Jackie, you didn't used to sound like that. And I said to her, yeah, anything that you do over and over, you'll get better at. And you should try it. And not out of a defense, but almost like an invitation that you can try new things. And as a result of trying new things and continuously doing them, you'll progress. And many times we give up just because we've never tried. Yeah. But that was a perspective change, because I used to be afraid to try anything new. And they might not have been used to me stepping out to stumble into the place that I could stand, if that makes sense. And so I think being willing not to be afraid if they challenge this newness, to have a conversation and actually just say, this is actually why I am the way I am, not in a off-putting way, but very honest and transparent, like you would do it with your friends, So I think that could be helpful.
You always tell us, like, think about you being on the other side and how you would want somebody to handle you or your transition if you kind of hadn't come to the point where you understood, like, the light or understood freedom, exactly. How would you want someone to have introduced it to you and not being in a way of like, oh, baby, I'm different. You should try to figure that out too. Versus like, let me just still like meet you honest. Be honest and meet you where you are. But I think that is something that we could use as well.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up.
How do you grapple with, because I know like a lot of times we talk about, especially with like owning your permission, is like doing things that you feel authentically that you're supposed to do.
Okay.
Like I feel like in this new life, like my natural response is I don't want to go home for the holidays. Like that's what I feel like that's my authentic answer. I don't want to go home for the holidays. But how can I guess I'm like balancing between like, but would God want me to love my family and go home for the holidays? Like I'm tossing in between. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense. And I don't think that authenticity is void of being spirit-led, and they're different. So, sure, you have a natural inclination. Your natural inclination isn't always the fullness of the Holy Spirit leading, right?
That's good.
When we wake up or we go to bed or whether we eat or we drink, the Bible talks about we should do it unto the Father. So whether your preference as a single child, I mean like the only child, or as someone that is single, is just to be to yourself. If there's a moment that Holy Spirit, and you should always live like this and asking Holy Spirit, I know what I would naturally do, but what would you want me to do in this moment?
Yeah.
And I can do that thing authentically, if that makes sense. So if he says go home, I'm going home authentically. If he says to tell them this year, I'm actually going to stay here, I'll do that authentically. But the authenticity shows up in obedience, not just in I do what I want to do, because many people mix that up. Just, to be able to be authentic, I'm just going to do what I feel. And that's not the true essence of what it means to be a disciple. It means to follow God's way. And if he's in Alabama, that's where Janiyah should be, and always ensuring that we take the moment to pause to ask. Because many times we don't invite him in. We just decide, this is what I want to do. Well, what if there was something amazing that was supposed to happen that he only wanted to do through you? So that's very important. And somebody could need you back there, It's just all those things. I think taking that moment to pause. But that's a really, really solid question.
I got another follow-up. You guys,
Go ahead.
how do I deal with the opinions of, let's say it is stay home this year. Let's say that it is, Lord, I'm staying home this year. But my mom's upset.
Okay.
Like my family's upset and they don't understand. Like, how do I deal with that?
It was back to what she said. What would you want them to do for you? It's like if you had an expectation and you desired them to come to be with you and they couldn't come, all you would really desire, even if you were disappointed, and that might be a feeling that you might need to experience or they need to experience, the only honest you have or the only responsibility you have is to be honest about, I really feel like this Christmas, God said to be here. And I'm going to be doing this. And it doesn't mean I won't love y'all. I FaceTime y'all. Being honest to have the conversation can help so much. Many times we'll make do the Jesus, we'll, draw the line in the sand, but we don't give nobody any context.
Yeah.
And that makes it so hard for people. And then it's like, well, if Jesus is going to make them pull away from me, then I don't want that Jesus. When in actuality, it was just that we weren't bold enough or courageous enough to communicate.
Really good. All right, I'm out.
This is good. Let's finish this. This is
I
great.
love it.
This is what this is for.
Yes.
All right. I'm excited about this one. So it says, my husband and I have always been so different. We've been married for 10 years, and every year I hate holiday season because it seems like I'm the only one excited to decorate, celebrate, and love on our kids. He's never involved at all, and it makes me so sad. I feel like I carry this family alone. Any advice to help me draw my husband closer to this family we built together?
Glad I took the last one.
Man, it's so real. Many women feel that way, and I can say from my own life, there were many times that I felt like, man, Travis ain't into all, like I want the kids to piano, I want them to go to Kumon, like it's all these things that I desire. And honestly, what I've learned to do is communicate my desire and not keep it to myself. So I asked Travis the other day, I said, what is important to you that the boys experience? Like, what would you desire for them to have? Like, if there was something that was like something you would want to show up. And he was like, their understanding and knowledge of the Bible really excites me. So Judah learning his books of the Bible and different things like that, or we do Bible trivia at night. Generally, if we're up there, he's the one like, we're going to do Bible trivia tonight. I bought the Bible trivia, but he's the one that would generally initiate that. And I think ensuring that we communicate, like, I want to know what you want to bring into this family can be helpful. And I've also communicated, like, I don't want to take them to school every day. I feel like they need both of us. And so I have not assumed that he just automatically knows. If I wanted to have an experience that I want him involved in, I call his assistant. And maybe your husband doesn't have an assistant, but I'll say, hey, this is important to me. And I feel like many times we're expecting our guys to be
Mind readers.
And we just expect them to know. And a lot of times they don't know, just like we don't know many things. And a great relationship is built on the foundation of communication and the ability to tell them, this is big to me. Like, I want us to decorate together. I want us to have this moment together can be super, super helpful. And it has made the hugest impact in my marriage. On top of that would be prayer. Prayer is always, there were times where even before I had the courage to have the conversation, I was very much so like, I'm gonna go to Jesus about this because I know he talked to that man. And tips to the single women: ensure that you get a man that actually listens to the Lord. Because at the end of the day, when you don't want to nag and you don't want to fuss, your ability to go to the Father and ask him, how do you want me to handle this, can be super helpful. And he's helped me. Sometimes he told me, leave this here, pray about it, I got it. Sometimes he asked me to call our mentor or our spiritual father, Pastor Matthew. Sometimes he said, have the conversation. He leads you best by being able to communicate to him first and not out of frustration going to your guy and just be like, well, you don't never, that's never helpful. It's never edifying. And it wouldn't be the way you would want them to address you either. So,
and I would encourage, even if you're on the other side of this, so my husband is like I said, very excited to decorate. I'm kind of like in the middle, but seeing how excited he sounds, like I am willing to go to the Lord and be like, help me. You know, like I may not be on his level, you know, but to see the things in which he sees are important. So just, and even knowing that it's not just always them, you know, that there are things that, like, to your point of, like, what do you want to see? Like, what makes, like, what type of memories do you want to make? And being willing to ask them. I love you say communication, because that's the basis behind it all.
It is.
Getting on the same page and being able to set both parties up to be loved.
And fulfilled.
Yes, to a fullness, like, is to be able to communicate those things, but being willing to hear and adjust as well, and bring it to God if you feel like that just ain't my personality, because I know how important it is for my husband to experience that.
Yeah. So. I think this kind of transcends even like decorating for the holidays. Like, sowing in your marriage what you want to receive is so crucial. One of the things I've often seen, like when I love my husband will by, listening to music or being present. I'm not a musician, but if he's doing like at an album release, there's not going to be one more crunk is so funny. Yes. One more lit in the audience than me. Because he's gonna know if he's a part of it, then I am too. We do everything as a family call. And I've seen how that has drawn the same thing out of him. He's still on the set today because although he has no handle in permission talk, he wants to ensure everything's in order because that's how we do it. It's a principle we set in motion to ensure that we sow the same energy and passion to the things each other loves, kind of to your point.
But you can also find this in friendship as well, not just romantic relationships, but also in friendship. Because most people don't realize, like, we are actually very different.
Very different.
And really, even beyond that, like, who we were at, like, 17 and 18 when we met each other is very different individually than who we are now at, like, 34.
And what you need.
Yes, and what you need, but being willing to communicate that. And I ain't saying we got it perfect, but I think along the way, we've been willing to communicate in different seasons as we've evolved, how we could be there as friends, which I think has helped leave no one behind.
And I feel like it added relationship equity to us. I think even in our earlier years, maybe even if something were to bother us, we didn't always talk about it. But as we've grown, man, if there is a hard conversation to have, we've had it. And the sweetness that has come from it, because understanding showed up. And when understanding shows up, I mean, just the growth that comes by way of that is just beautiful. Like, I always count her an even greater friend that I could be honest, that this bothered me. The people that you can trust and that you can talk to about things are the people you 9 times out of 10 will want to continue to do life with, but kind of to the point of when you feel like you're hesitant and I don't know if they can handle this, you start to kind of withdraw. And so I'm very grateful for the communication and the growth.
The only thing I would add to is just like that aspect of faith. Because like this person said it was 10 years, but whether it's been 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, it can change.
It
like
can.
Putting it into the hands of the Father, like knowing that things can be different. Like even though they have been one way for this amount of time, God can step in a moment and things could change. Yeah,
and I would just say as a married person, or actually even just a person in friendship, if you don't believe that it can change, even if change is showing up, you won't see it.
So
your ability to believe allows you to have the awareness for the change, and also not just expecting it to be changed on one side. Like even with Keisha and I'm not just looking at how she can serve me better. I'm also looking at how can I serve her better, or how can I be different if the situation occurs again that would allow a different result. And so many times we stay stuck because not only are we looking for something different, we're not willing to do something different. So I would just say that that's like, really important. Don't just look outward, look inward at yourself too as to how you can bring about change.
Oh yeah, that's good. Listen, I think we can talk about this all day.
It's a lot of good content.
white
I love
elephants.
the questions.
Yes, it's a lot of stuff we uncovering, but I think we should do a part 2.
Yes.
Because it's more. I don't want to stop right here.
Yeah.
I think there's some different topics that we can continue to hit on that would really be beneficial for people. this
Yes,
holiday.
I totally agree. And I don't want any woman that will be experiencing the holidays that has this particular issue to be left behind. So join us next week. We're going to be talking about some different topics, kind of similar, same topic, exposing the white elephant, but it's going to be even greater next week. I can't wait to see you back right here. Permission Talk. Let's do it.
Hey ladies, thanks so much for tuning in to this week's episode of Permission Talk. We would love to have you stay connected, so do us a favor and like, share, comment, and subscribe. Go ahead and comment your favorite moment from this week's episode. Also, don't forget to subscribe to Permission World, which is Dr. Jackie's online Facebook group. We would love to have you be a part so that we can continue the conversation. We'll see y'all next week.